what role does sulfur play in winemaking?
Sulfur is basically just it's an antioxidant. It should be used in tiny amounts. I mean, it should just be used in the right moments and not. I mean, I can understand people not wanting to use sulfur at all in the wines. It's something that everybody's trying to do, is to use as little as possible or none. Red wine making is, because any wine that goes through malolactic is actually naturally more stable than a wine that doesn't go through natural malolactic. So red wine making, you actually use tiny quantities of sulfur in the wine. I avoid sulfur if possible right up to after malolactic. So the grapes are picked, fermented, alcoholic fermentation, go into barrel, do the secondary fermentation, malolactic, which changes the acidities around, and then you can add some sulfur to it just to keep it calm, and they're tiny quantities. So it's then just before bottling, just to readjust it. Now I normally bottle with about what they call 30-free, because you have the bound sulfur, which when you add sulfur it gets bound up in the wine, and then you have the free sulfur, which is sort of floating around, protecting it against oxygen. So I'm bottling with about 30. Once it's bottled, about a month later, I've added it. It's all gone. So it's actually just the bottling process is for me. I hate bottling wine. It's the worst thing you can do to wine is put it in a bottle, because you're taking it out of a beautiful big tank where it's at home, and then you put it in a tiny little bottle with a cork on. So that whole process of being pushed through a pump and then putting into bottle needs to be protected slightly. I mean, all the bottles are filled with nitrogen or argon before the wine falls in. So, but you still need to protect it, I think. So you've got this little base of sulfur which just protects it, and then it goes in the bottle. And that by the time you taste it in 6 months to a year's time, there's this tiny amount of sulfur, and it's all disappeared. But sulfur for me, it's necessary, but we have to keep it as low as possible. It's like using copper. We're organic. We spray copper and sulfur in the vineyards, but they are still two chemicals. There's two things which are natural, but copper is a heavy metal, and we're all trying to get it as low as possible. And the same with sulfur. In the wines we need to keep it as low as possible.